Hey everyone, it's Big Dog from the Big Dog Random Show. You're listening to the Bigfoot Club podcast.
Hey guys, please go to our website at www.bigfootclubpodcast.com. Check out all our merch and all our old episodes. Also, please look for our social media on Twitter, Facebook, on Instagram at Bigfoot Club, the number 1. Also, check out Matt Knapp's Bigfoot Crossroads. He is on all platforms. If you have any paranormal or Bigfoot stories, please email us at bigfootclub1@gmail.com.
Hey everybody, Bigfoot Club, Season 4, Episode 29.
What do you got your heads on your hips for?
This is Steven Dominguez, and I'm here with...
Uncle Robert.
I just realized I've never done that before.
Yeah, you actually do pretty good at it.
Oh, I try to do it like you. I try to.
I don't put my hands on my hips.
Hey everybody, Bigfoot Club.
I don't move my head and move my shoulders side to side.
Season 4, Episode 29, with your host Steven. I'm here with
Uncle Robert.
Man, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm really good.
I guess I'm taking lead on this one.
Yeah, you are.
So how's work?
It's good. It's really busy. I've been given a lot of duties at work that I'm not really used to, and I'm trying to do my best on it. And so, just really busy.
Sounds like you need to get paid for what you're actually doing.
Yes, that would be great. How about you? How's work for you?
Oh, work is good. I'm doing still. The merger went through, and we got some good changes coming along the way. Let's just say the stuff that me and my department did for a long time that we were abused of doing almost everything. We're finally going to be doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Nice. That's nice. That's always good whenever you actually do what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and not do other people's work.
Yeah.
Because we were the jack of all trades. They would say like, oh, if it's a billing question, send it over to the coordinators. Yeah, they know what they're doing. And we're like, oh, I guess I do.
It actually feels a lot like my job.
Yeah. Yep. But work is good. I got my voice back.
Yeah, we didn't do a show last week because both of our voices, because we took the boys camping.
Excuse me.
We took the boys camping for part of their scout group, right?
Mm-hmm. The Boy Scouts, Pack 374. We went to Possum Kingdom Lake. Yep. And it was amazing.
It was great. It was just like we just lost our voices because you have allergies, I have allergies, right? And we're amongst lots of cedars.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just tore us up, and like our voices were really bad last week. We sound like Katarina.
Yes, we did. And you know what sucks is that, your boy here, it's your boy, Steven. He has sleep apnea. I have sleep apnea. And I don't have a CPAP machine like most normal Americans do.
Yeah.
I have a BiPAP machine because your boy, Steven, has got sleep apnea pretty bad. So I got this battery pack here called Primax, and it's supposed to last 5 days. Now, what they don't tell you is that it'll last 5 days if you're just charging a phone.
Yeah.
But if you're using a machine that's using a heavy wattage, like your boy Steven's sleep apnea machine uses, it ranges up to 41 to 67. From what I was seeing.
Watts.
Yeah, watts. And it only lasted 3 hours.
Yeah, that sucked.
So I only slept for 3 hours, and I think you were really worried about it. You were like, I think we should probably. Maybe we should go to a hotel. I'm like, no, I'm not ruining this trip over a health concern. I've lost a good amount of weight, and I think there's a couple times where I can get away with it, like those nights.
Yeah.
But I don't simply do it every day. I sleep with my machine because I want to sleep.
Yeah, because like I was noticing whenever you're sleeping like in a tent, you were sleeping good. You were snoring, but that wasn't really loud. And you were breathing all the way straight through, so it was kind of good. Mm-hmm.
Because every time I woke up, I think you were just going back to sleep because I think you were looking at me or making sure I was breathing. But I would get up and make sure the boys were okay. The boys were great. They were so tired that they didn't even care where they were sleeping. I think the second night, the Saturday night, we were so tired that Ricardo sat in one of the camping chairs and he got my jacket and he passed out.
Yeah.
There. He passed out on the camping chair. And I was like, man, what the heck? Look at this boy here. Pick that boy up. I used to say that.
Grandpa. Yeah, we haven't done a show in a while. We haven't done it since the Blackwell Ghost one.
And do you want to bring up something that's so weird about that?
Yeah, we did episodes 1 through 6, and we released it 2 weeks ago. The weekend that we put it out, Clay Turner released Blackwell Ghost 7.
And what did we say on that episode? Gee, when do you think he's going to release 7?
Yeah, so
synchronicity.
it was good. It was actually I really enjoyed that. So
we honestly, I really would like to get him on the show.
I would too.
I would enjoy it. I think talking to him just about his passion just for making movies or documentaries, would be an interesting interview. I think so.
Yeah,
you know, Clay Turner, if you're listening to this, please reach out to us because
we want to talk to you.
We want to talk to you. We would really like to promote the next one because the last one that we saw. Yeah. I won't go into much detail. But
we have to do a show about that. We won't mess on this one. I did want to talk about. There was a couple emails that we got. And I apologize for everybody that's been emailing us, and I haven't responded like right away. I've been doing my best trying to respond back to everyone. We got an email from Chrissy King out of New South Wales, Australia.
Oh,
and she was writing. I love the podcast and Sebastian Soundbites. He's awesome. Love listening, and I'm so glad everything is going well for you. And you continue getting better. Cheers, Chrissy. Chrissy, thank you so much.
Chrissy, thank you so much for saying those kind words to my uncle because he's been through a lot, and I can assure you, he's better.
Yes,
he is better. He's joking. He's sipping on his Coke Zero, and I don't think he can top the moment unless we win the lotto. And then as for Sebastian, should you play a Sebastian bite for that?
Let's see here. Hold on.
Bigfoot Club for life, homie. Come on, man.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Your house is haunted, homie.
Yep.
So she sends another email.
Oh.
She says, you guys should watch Australian Skies with Don Mears. He was working with Attila Caldi, and it's pretty good. And there is like 3 parts. I looked for the books by Sunbow, True Brother. The Sasquatch Message to Humanity is very interesting. We have to check that out.
I did see Australians in the Skies. I saw 2 and a little bit of 3. I never finished 3. But 2 was actually really good. It was, no, that was a really good one.
She also writes again. Oh. She writes, hey guys, wondering if you watched The Legend of Bigfoot 1975 documentary with Ivan Marks. Ivan is he's like a early guy that's been into Bigfoot like in the 70s, the 60s and 70s.
That's not The Legend of Bucket Creek, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
And there's a book called Millennial Hospitality. I need to go. It reads written by the U.S. Air Force officer and based in Mojave Desert. I think it's in the 60s, and he used to release weather balloons, and he writes about aliens being there and how top officers and the government officials were working with a very interesting book. Chrissy will check it out. Thank you so much.
Oh, Chrissy.
I did write her back, and I did thank her, and she says she did write back again, and she says, "Hi guys, reply." Because I asked her if it was okay if we read this on our show, and she says, "Hi guys, thanks for the reply. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I've been listening to your podcast and Bigfoot Crossroads, finding some very interesting stuff on the internet." So she listens to Matt's show too, so which was kind of cool.
Matthew Reginald Nappers.
Wow,
man.
And Tony is I won't give her last name because she didn't want me to give out her last name, but Tony is also a a fan of the show, and she actually drove out to Mineola to meet me when I was there, and so she was one of, because like Matt did a giveaway for a contest. I was giving out buttons and stickers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Tony won like one of Matt's contests, and so she sent us a picture of her wearing the Bigfoot Club shirt with a Bigfoot Club mug, holding a Bigfoot Crossroads button. So it's kind of cool. So, so I'm assuming that she listens to the show too.
Yeah,
because she won the contest. So Tony, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And if you need help, Tony, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
So I'll just go with that, and we're going to be talking today with Terry Cagle, Porch Matters Podcast. I'm pretty excited about that one. And you got anything else you want to talk about before we bring Terry in?
No. I think
you're not twitching right now.
Well, I got back into twitching this week. The other last 2 weeks, I'm dealing with sickness and camping for the boys. I just wanted to focus on that. So I apologize to any of the viewers that expect to see me on. I twitched only once this week. I plan on making a schedule pretty soon and committing to it. And yeah, trying to save up to get a PS5 so I can play some God of War. I have the game, I just don't have the console. I have a PS4, but it won't last on that. That game will not last.
Yeah, that thing will kill it.
Yeah,
it'll kill it like sweet ass macaroni.
It will start smoking, and then Ricardo will get mad at me because that's honestly his console now.
Yeah,
he plays video games on it.
Yeah.
So he would be pretty upset. Like, you broke it.
We are approaching 50,000 downloads. We're at 47,000 right now, so I'm pretty excited about that. Please, everybody, subscribe. Go to our page. Go to our website. Like, subscribe, download, share the podcast with a friend. We would really appreciate it. Comment. Do a comment. Do something. Do something. That sounds dumb.
Do something. Do something.
So, are you ready to get Terry on?
Yeah, if I could just stop coughing.
What's going on with you?
I don't know. Just start.
You weren't coughing before the show, and I hit record, and now you're coughing.
It was all planned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
We're going to bring Terry on.
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm pretty excited today. We have today Terry. If I butcher your name, I'm sorry. Terry Cagle with Porch Matters.
Wow.
Porch Matters Podcast. Porch Matters Podcast. Welcome to the club.
It's good to be here.
Man,
Robert Dominguez is a butcher, ladies and gentlemen. He is swinging a machete and just chopping me off.
Man. I'm nervous, man, talking to you. So.
Oh, you shouldn't be nervous, my friend. The name's Terry Cagle. Good job. You got close. I can't tell you how many times my name got pronounced like that on the football field back in the glory days of high school. So I'm used to that, especially whenever that telemarketer calls and asking me about my extended warranty. They're always like, "Is this Terry Cagle?" So
I know. I don't know anybody who goes by Cagle. So you got the wrong number. It's pronounced Terry Cagle.
Terry, thank you for coming on, man. I wanted to tell you before we jump into everything here, but I haven't told a lot of people this, but when you asked me to be a guest on your show last year. Yes. Twice. I came on your show twice. But I was going through a situation, like a medical condition. I was going through some recovery time, and I didn't tell anybody this. Steven, I didn't even tell you this, but I was debating whether I wanted to do a podcast again. Because I was really, really into my recovery, and I wasn't going as fast as I wanted to. And I was living with my older brother Terry at the time, and he was wanting me to pull out the podcast stuff. He wanted to get me going, and I really didn't want to do it. I really didn't. And you reached out to me. I can't remember if it was Twitter or it was Facebook, but you reached out to me, and you asked me to be on your show. And I just wanted to tell you, brother, that I really, really wanted to thank you for that, because I think doing your show got me in the right path to do my show again, because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it again. And then, you know, I didn't want to say no to you, because you reached out to me and I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I ended up doing it. I pulled all the gear out. And, but I wanted to thank you for that. I didn't tell you that though.
From the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate that. And it was an honor and a privilege to have you come onto the porch. And I really did enjoy our conversation. We became fast friends. And, you know, anything that I or Porch Matters can ever do for you, you let me know, my friend.
Absolutely. I mean, you've done a lot. You talk about my show all the time on your thing, so I really, really appreciate it. And I can tell you this: I listen to your show like weekly. I know a lot about Alabama politics. I can just tell you that right now. So I don't want to get too far ahead. You lead the way. I'm not used to necessarily being the follower, so I'm going to follow your lead, my friend. Okay. Where did the concept of Porch Matters come from? Because I'll be honest with you, I hadn't listened to any of your early stuff. I've been listening to all your recent stuff. So tell our listeners what got you involved in this idea of Porch Matters.
Well, before I do that, you know, you throw out all of those nice, kind words, and I'm really humbled and I'm really appreciative. But it kind of feels like I've got a little bit more pressure on me now than what I had before. So you tell your friends that I'm great, and I just don't know if I can live up to the hype, but I'm going to do my best. Porch Matters it's a concept that I came up with while I was helping do another show with a couple of friends of mine that I worked with at the Walker County Jail in Jasper, Alabama. I had always loved podcasts. I fell in love with podcasts and first found out about podcasts whenever I found out that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to have his own podcast. Right. And I was like, that sounds fantastic. What's a podcast? So I figured it out quickly, and then I was like, wow, this is really an awesome concept about how you can just sit down and just talk to people. And it was almost like guerrilla radio back in 2012. You could say whatever you wanted to. You could do whatever you want to. And then to a degree, it's still the same thing. And I just started listening to podcasts more and more to the point where I quit listening to the radio. I just started downloading and subscribing to any kind of podcast I could. I'm a person that has a lot of different interests. You can really see that if you listen to my show. Mm-hmm. And my granddad taught me a long time ago to learn a little something about everything. And I kind of took it to the upteenth degree. Now, I've got a lot of different interests. So, you know, cryptozoology happens to be one of them. And I reached out to you, and I was very fortunate to have you come on the show. And we talked, and it was great. My buddies reached out to me in 2019 and was like, would you like to do a podcast with us? And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, because all I've ever heard was high production value stuff. You know, I figured you had to have a lot of money to do it. And then they told me about a little app that they found on their phone that was free called Anchor. And I was hesitant at first. And if you listen to my show, you'll hear me talk about how I've been hesitant on a lot of different stuff. And I've what-ifed myself out of a lot of different situations. But I wanted to sit back and I wanted to see how they operated and how they done. And they kept talking about me and just kept talking about me. And then on about episode 6, I had to go to, I was actually on the road. At that time I was driving a truck, and I was sitting back in the sleeper trying to sleep up at the customer, and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing, and it's them. And I just had a hunch that they were just trying to catch me off guard so they could record me on the show.
Yeah.
So I didn't answer. I gave it about 15 minutes and called them back, and lo and behold, that was exactly what they were trying to do. And then I finally agreed to come on, and it went really well. I fell in love with the process. We would come up with different topics to talk about, and we'd do a little research here and there. You know how it goes. You know the drill.
Yep.
You're podcasters. And we rocked on for I'd say about 8 or 9 episodes, to the point where I was actually going to be a permanent member on their show. The name of the show was Two Guys and a Podcast. Now, obviously, if I'm on the show with them, that means there's three. So the name really didn't fit. And we were sitting around trying to come up with another name, and Porch Matters just came to me. And I stumbled upon a article whenever I was just kind of looking around, and it was, I can't remember the name of it necessarily, but it was paraphrasing was Bring Back the Front Porch or something along those lines. I'll have to find it and send it to you. And it was talking about how the front porch was the barrier between your public life and your private life. And then I remembered back as a kid, I'm 40 years old, and anytime we had visitors, or anytime my granddaddy wanted to talk about something, or anytime any family member wanted to talk to my grandmother about anything, ladies always went to the kitchen table. The men always went to the porch. So between reading the article and thinking about that, I was like, what an awesome concept. I could sit on my back porch, and, by 2020, COVID was already rampant and everybody was pretty much sitting at home. But, back up just a little bit while we were going over names, and we continued on, but I really wanted to do my own thing, and I ended up leaving them and then started trying to come up with my own thing, which is Porch Matters. And one of the co-hosts from Two Guys in a Podcast was one of my best friends at the time, Jason Akins. He just said that he would come on and help me. And another thing that kind of led to that, Melissa Stewart, she was a co-host as well, and she worked with me on my, at my job, and she was fixing to move to Ohio, and we had talked about it, and me and her used to have 3 and 4 hour conversations about everything and nothing.
I like her. I listened to that one episode. I really liked that one.
Yeah. And she was moving off, and I kind of wanted to see how our chemistry would be with a recording. You know what I mean? It's different. You can talk to somebody and all day long, but when that red light comes on, sometimes people freeze up.
Yeah.
You know how
true.
it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I met her up in Madison, where she lived at the time, right outside of Huntsville. It's about an hour and a half from my house. Sat on a park bench, hit the record button on my iPad, had a microphone plugged into it. We had about a 30 to 45 minute conversation, just us shooting the bull about comic books and feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And I played it for Jason, and he was like, this is an interview that I would love to hear as a fan. And I was like, well, I guess I'm onto something. And I'm rough, about different subjects. I'm always big on communication and conversation and the lost art of discussion. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people now are stuck in their own think tanks, I guess. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people these days will look, and they don't value other people's opinions as much as what they used to. Well, you're wrong. I'm right. Well, you sure about that? We don't know that necessarily for sure, do we? And maybe my perspective is this because of this, and maybe your perspective is this because of that. Why don't we share our stories, and maybe you could change each other's perspective? I like to think of since you were talking about politics, I like to think of myself as more of a center or conservative to a degree. I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially more liberal, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I like to think myself more of the center. Melissa came at us with a whole different perspective, being what she is, and she's more of a conservative type like me. Jason comes at it from a whole nother side, being more of an independent liberal. So we would talk about a lot of different things and bring each other's perspective to it. Now, I just thought that made really good conversation to start with. That was the concept of Porch Matters to begin with, and then Melissa ended up taking another job and got to the point where she couldn't record much, so it just became me and Jason. And then Jason ended up sending me a message in February or so of 2021 saying that, he was done for a little while, and then honestly, he just never came back. So I had to back up and punt. So I just started basically looking around on social media for people that I found interesting, on topics that I found interesting, and reaching out and seeing if they wanted to come talk to me. And here we are.
I really love that concept. I think just the fact, because like you talk about things that I know, Steven and I, we don't really talk about. And I like that concept of talking about, talking to someone who's like an arm wrestler, or talking to who's someone that's going out to be a governor candidate or a Senate, Senate seat or something. So I think it's kind of neat. I mean, cause like, I know Steven and I talk about Bigfoot and we talk about the paranormal and stuff like that, but it's just, we have a tendency of talking about other stuff too. So, so
yes, you do. And I have been a listener of your show.
Thank you.
And I really enjoy your show, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So did these guys, the ones you started a podcast with, did they know about the equipment, what kind of mics to buy, dynamic, all that stuff? Did they know anything about that, or did you have to learn the hard way?
We had to learn the hard way. To start with, it was basically just a tablet and some little Walmart microphones. I had to learn how to back a ways away from the microphone because my voice is pretty strong and it carries.
It's booming?
Yes. Very booming. It's like right now I'm sitting about a foot away from my Shure microphone as I talk to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a Shure microphone.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, he's big time.
No, I just sat back and I actually talked to Robert about this in private, and I was like, if I'm going to actually do this, I'm going to get serious about it.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Everybody's like, well, why do you do podcasts? Well, it's my phrase has always been, well, it's a cheaper habit than golf.
It is,
but it's also a passion project of mine as well, and I really enjoy doing it. And if I'm really going to enjoy doing it, well, let's get serious about it.
And Shure mics are amazing. Shure mics and Beacon mics are amazing.
Now don't get it twisted. I didn't get the high end Shure mic. I'm not sitting.
It's okay. They luckily I think they started making the little bit cheaper Shure mics.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. They did.
And it's still great quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, Terry, I get people that other podcast guys that reach out to me and they say, "Hey, can you listen to my podcast?" And I listen to it, and it's like 4 guys with 1 mic, and I tell them, I go, "What's your goal? What's your goal to do? Because if you're gonna do a podcast, the audio's got to be good." That's that's just the bottom line. It's got to be good. If it's not good, then you're just wasting your time.
Yeah. I had a little bit of experience playing music in a praise and worship band in church.
Mm-hmm.
And, they always drilled audio quality. We did sound checks out the rear end. I've always heard other podcasters, and whenever I get whenever I get into stuff, I start doing my own research. It's one of the reasons why I don't play golf, as we brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
One reason why my high school football coach that was the very first piece of advice he ever gave me. He said, "Cagle, you play golf?" "No, sir. No, sir, I don't." "Well, good. You'll end up breaking more clubs than you hit balls." So I took his advice and ran with it. I never played. And, much like I said with my guest, Jason Phillips of the Community Journal.
I was going to say that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never understood the game. You draw back with basically a stick or a club, and you hit a ball 100 and some odd, 200 some odd yards, very little ball, and then you decide to walk, or if you're just like me and you'd ride down in a golf cart, then maybe you'll find it, maybe you don't. If you find it, stick it in your dadgum pocket and go on about your business. You're a winner. But no, they want to hit it again. I've never understood that concept.
Yeah, I never understood golf. I have a lot of coworkers at my job. I was like, "Hey man, you want to go golfing?" "No, hell no."
Well, some of my buddies actually hit me up and was like, "You need to go to the thrift store over here and buy you a $30 or $40 set of cheap clubs and come play with us." I hate losing at checkers. I'm a good sport about it, but it burns me up. I can't stand to lose. I'm a good sport, like I said. But if you beat me, I'm going to become obsessed with beating you. I will put everything and every extra bit of time that I have into getting better, so the next time that we do anything competitive, I stomp you. That's just the way I am, and that's just the way I'm built. So I've never been able to play golf with my buddies.
Yeah,
like you said, cheaper habit.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I had a boss that wanted to play golf all the time, and I just went with him just to go, just get off work, but I never picked it up. I never did. I go, yeah.
There was a time I remember you were playing it, and I was all like, "Why?"
I know.
It was whenever you were living with Mike.
Yeah.
And Mike was a golfer too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you were just trying to be like...
I was just trying to get out of work. That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing.
Trying to go to Shotski's and
Yeah.
get a cup of coffee.
But...
A little espresso.
Yeah. So, I never understood that either. But yeah, I think from our end, because I know... You have, if I'm saying this, I can take this out, whatever. You have a Roadcaster Pro, right?
I do.
Mm-hmm. You have the first generation or the second one?
Yeah. I got the first generation, and then like 2 months later, they came out with the second generation. And I was like, "Gah, I should have just waited."
Yeah.
I still hadn't got that thing figured out just right. I've got static in my headphones, and you can hear it in the audio, and it kind of drives me nuts.
Really, I can't hear it whenever I listen to your show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, since we're being completely honest, I've got it, but since I haven't figured out all the kinks yet, I've just been plugging my mic into my laptop the last 3 or 4 episodes just to get rid of the static.
Oh man, what I could do, I don't know. Maybe I can do screenshots because I think I fixed mine because mine was doing that too.
Yeah, I remember that yours was doing that.
And I went through every setting, and I can do screenshots and send it to you whenever I get a chance.
I might need you to do that. Because either that or send me some YouTube videos so I can learn it myself one way or another.
Because that stuff, it drove me insane too. like I couldn't. Like, we called a couple people and we were interviewing them, and I think you had Sarah on your show, right? Sarah from the UK.
I did.
And I heard that show and I really liked it, so I reached out to her and I talked to her, and I was getting feedback the whole time, and it was a great interview. I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't use it. And I go, "Sarah, I can't use this. This is so bad." I go, not the interview, but just the sound quality was just so bad. And
right.
I had to set up a second interview with her, and she was really great about that. So
she was an awesome guest. I actually need to reach back out to her and see if she'll come back on. I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I gave her some ideas, and I think she ended up running with it. So I was really, really happy with that. So I was just saying, speaking of Bigfoot, what are your thoughts on? I know you're not. I was on your show because you wanted to know about Bigfoot, but I was wanting to know your thoughts on Bigfoot, and in the state of Alabama.
Much like that I told you, I've never personally seen one.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I haven't seen one doesn't mean that I don't think they're real. There's way too many credible people that have never spoken to one another that have seen basically the same thing. Now, I've got a background from wearing a badge. That's called detective work and investigations, as you well know from your background. You put one you connect the dots. 1 + 1 = 2. So who am I to tell credible people that what they saw was not what they think it was, just because I haven't seen one myself? I would love to see one myself. I just haven't seen it yet. And just like I said, that does not mean that they're not real to me. I believe they're real.
I will say this, that I'm not a fan of the BFRO, but they have one of the best Bigfoot databases, and they are 4 sightings in Walker County.
Really?
2010 to 1990. Another one that was a fall of 1990, a spring of 1990, and July of 1988. Motorist sighting of a dirty white upright creature near the town of Kansas.
Yes, that's northern Walker County, actually, northwest Walker County.
And this the fall of 1991 is, let me see here, we're at 1.5 miles southeast of, I'm probably going to butcher this, Nauvoo, Alabama.
You once again, sir, you are definitely the butcher tonight.
That's Nauvoo.
We locals call it Nauvoo.
Nauvoo, okay.
Nauvoo.
And Terry, I couldn't help but notice y'all said something about Huntsville, Alabama. Is that where he resides? Like
where I currently reside is a little community called Dilworth.
Okay.
If you look at it on the map, you'll see a little town called Summerton. Then you'll see a littler town. Yes, I did say littler. Called Sipsey. I'm right in the middle. There's old strip pits here that basically surround the property, because this county used to be per capita one of the top 3 nationwide on coal production.
Okay.
Walker County, Fayette County, and Tuscaloosa used to be top 3, and they used to flip-flop pretty much every month or every quarter nationwide. Now, coal's kind of went away, but I'm surrounded with old reclaimed strip pits. I've got a few cow pastures. I've got several old people, and I've got a few meth heads down the road. So it's a nice community. Great place to raise a family.
Because on my job, we're going through a merger, and we just went through a merger, and one of the people that used to dispatch for Huntsville, he got promoted, and so I'm watching his territory right now. So I guess I'm a butcher as well, because I called one of the technicians, and he's like, where you got me going? And I was like, oh, you're going to Boaz.
My home terminal for where I work is actually in Boaz.
Is it? Okay, yeah. So I must have said Bose. I think I said Bose. And he chuckled. He goes, "Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go there."
Close enough.
Yeah, I was like, "What?" Because
by the way, Robert, I'm just picking at you whenever I call you a butcher.
No, that's okay.
If I was to look at Texas towns on a map, I'm probably going to butcher a few of them.
Terry, that's what it is. That's my shtick. If I was a wrestler, that's my shtick. Is that I butcher stuff. I'm okay with it. So
yeah, I guess in my mind I didn't want to say Boaz, like Boaz.
Boaz.
Oh yeah, you got to put some southern twang.
Yeah,
into it.
So I thought about it, but I was like, no, I'm gonna pick the safe route. I'm gonna say Bose, and the guy was like, yeah, I'll drive to Boaz. I was like,
Speaking of which, folks, I'm sorry if my southern accent maybe offends you or rub you the wrong way. I apologize for that. I know I sound like a combination of John Coffey from The Green Mile and Forrest Gump. I cannot help it, and it is what it is. So if you don't like it, I really, truly apologize.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's the only problem is when I hear it a lot, I guess my inner twang comes out.
You're gonna start doing it. You're gonna start doing it,
and you'll hear it. And I'm not mocking you. I promise you, I'm not.
That's all good.
Every time
I do the same thing. I do. Yeah.
Because
if you listen to the podcast, and some people that don't have the same accent that I do, I think I did it with Robert as well on both of the episodes. My accent kind of goes away, and I start trying to watch how I pronunciate things. So I mean, I get it. I do it too.
It's I guess it's one of my downfalls or whatever, hidden talents. I wouldn't say call it talent, but
yeah,
I would call it a hidden talent.
Because I'll hear it, and if it's like Matthew McConaughey. You know, if he starts talking a lot, and then I'll start trying to copy. If it's Woody Harrelson, I'll try to do Woody Harrelson or something like that. It's just I like to not mock people, but do impressions of it.
Yeah, Terry, we did like a 5-week run where we were doing Australian people.
Oh my gosh!
And Steven was talking like Australian the whole time.
Crikey!
I was like, oh yeah, so Yeti down from down under,
19 meters.
19 meters down, wearing my thongs, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I got possessed there. Sorry.
Yeah, we went on like a 5-week run. I interviewed Sarah Bignall with Yowie Central Podcast, and she just hooked me up with everybody that's anybody in Australia.
Every week you're like, hey, so we got Gary Lynn. And then after that, we got, John Kirsch. I'm going to butcher his name. Wow. We got him coming on. Attila. We got
Kirshner.
Yeah. Got Attila coming on. And I'm all like, oh my gosh. Okay. We're just getting the whole
we got
spiel of Australia.
We interviewed Yowie Dan. And I don't even know his real name. He just goes by Yowie Dan.
Yeah.
So
did we ask him? And he was,
I asked him, but he wouldn't tell me. So
he's like,
even that's his Facebook too, Yowie Dan. So.
Yeah.
But
I also apologize for coughing. I feel like I'm trying to have a little bit of a relapse. So
Robert's giving me the dirty look because I wasn't coughing at all. As soon as we started the show, he's like, "Why are you coughing all of a sudden?"
Right.
But I know you were trying to get sick like a couple weeks ago. Was it last week, Terry?
Yeah. It was 2 weeks ago actually, and this past week I got better, but last day or so, coughing's trying to come back. So,
do you have allergies or?
No, I don't.
Wow.
And it's been years since I had the flu or anything, and I went to the doctor. I'll share some HIPAA stuff with you. I don't care. And well, I went to the doctor, and I did not have COVID. I did not have the flu, but. They gave me a couple of shots, gave me a Z-Pack, sent me on my way. About 3 or 4 days later, I quit coughing, thought I was over it. So the last 2 days, I've been coughing more. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think in my old age now, I just started developing allergies. And Steven and I, we took his boys out camping last weekend.
Amazing trip.
We were amongst like a grove of cedars, and so they kind of just tore us both up. So
yeah, I lost my voice Saturday night, and I didn't get it back till Tuesday. And I was talking like
Yeah, we didn't do a show last week because our both of our voices were jacked.
Yeah, my voice was deep, but it would scratch. It would go in between. John Coffey, and then it would go like an animated character. So
almost sounded like he was right in the middle of puberty.
Yeah, right in the middle of puberty.
Yeah.
Backwards puberty. But
yeah, I'm 40 years old, my friend. It still hits me every once in a while.
Oh yeah, it hits me.
I'll sit there, be talking, and all of a sudden I'll go right there, and it just. I'm like, what the crap?
This is Mariah Carey who's possessing me.
So I was telling you, Terry. Looks like there's 4 sightings in Walker County, 2 in Kansas, and 1 in Nauvoo. Okay,
close enough, my friend.
He's like Nauvoo.
The one in I think spring of 1990, woman recounts a childhood sighting of a white creature near, I guess, a road or something. And the July 1988 memory of a 3 fingers sliding under the front door outside Nauvoo. Wow, that's creepy.
That's
3 fingers.
3 fingers.
Just 3 fingers.
Let's see. Was in. Let me see.
Maybe the whole hand couldn't fit under there. So
wooden area just past intersection of Trotter Road, Nichols Road on the right, 40 yards of an intersection going north from Jasper.
See,
Wow.
I don't know if you know the history of Alabama necessarily, but every bit of this used to be tribal land, and every bit of this actually used to be almost the equivalent to the Amazon jungle.
Wow.
And it was just until, Americans came in and settled it and everything that we lost a lot of that. Some of Bankhead National Forest is Indian tribe land. And back around episode 5 or episode 6, one of my friends named Tiny came on, and he was telling a story about how he seen something up there in those woods. Mm-hmm. And he told the story about how him and his friends, whenever he was 16, went walking through the trails. And, that's what you do in national forest. You go hike and see waterfalls. And there is a ton of waterfalls in that area. Very beautiful area. And he seen a side trail, and he just felt compelled to go down it. So he took a right while they went straight. And he talked about how he seen a staircase just out of nowhere down in the holler. Yes, it's a holler in Alabama. And he just felt compelled, felt like something was pulling him up there, but he decided not to. And then he went back up, and he thought he was gone for maybe 30, 45 minutes tops. Turns out he was gone for hours, to the point where his friends actually called the cops, county deputies, and everything was there. Park rangers were all there looking for him. He had been gone like 6 or 8 hours.
Wow.
And then he told them the story. They went back, same trail, went down. He did not see the staircase, but then they started hearing rumblings in the woods. And they turned around, and they saw a real big creature with deer antlers and everything else on their head. Mm-hmm. And it made a real big sound and everything, and they ran out. And he will literally, to this day, go 30 minutes out of the way to come down to Jasper or whatever. He will not go near that national forest right now to save his life.
That's amazing, because hadn't we talked about staircases in the woods before?
I've been trying to get that segment because we've been just so busy, but I wanted to talk about staircases in the woods and how that's a thing.
Didn't we talk to Yowie Dan about that too?
I asked him about it because there's a big national it's a tourist spot, so it's a big staircase that everybody I forgot the name of it. It's on Bluey too.
The Three Sisters.
It might be. Okay. I think it is. I think you're right.
Terry, who did you have on? You had a Venture Lighting lady. I can't remember her name.
Yes, her name's Amanda.
Amanda. I was listening to the episode, and I was wondering if she sees stuff out in the woods, because she hikes, right, and she goes to all the waterfalls, and because that's
I was wondering that myself while we were talking, but I whenever we have conversations, or I have conversations, I'm sure you do it a lot like I do as well. I don't necessarily sit down with a notepad and write out a bunch of questions. I just try to have a conversation with somebody. I don't consider what I do interviews. Mm-hmm. And every time she would talk, and I did a little bit of research on her, but I just never could figure out a good place to put it in the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to round 2 with her. She agreed to do a round 2, so I'm going to see if I can fit that in somehow, way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I said, man, she goes to all the waterfalls. Because I've heard many, many stories of Bigfoots just hanging around waterfalls, because that's a good source for
water
and game, and so
showering if they're probably want they stink and
so dumb
or swim. Sometimes they want to cool off.
They might be out there doing the backstroke.
Yeah, of course.
Now that's where I think we talked about this. Where that's got to be the worst thing to see your first encounter a Bigfoot. When you're in a waterfall and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go for a swim, and you open your eyes and there's a Bigfoot just floating right there, just looking at you like, shit, I got caught. You got caught. You see me. Oh, you're having a heart attack. Oh, you're drowning. Oh, you died because you died of fear. Because I would.
I do got a couple of Bigfoot questions for you. I've listened to different shows and heard different stories.
Go.
Listen to yours. What is the deal with Bigfoot and throwing rocks?
You know, it's a funny story is that
They're bullies.
no. The first, I think was this the first or second time I took you out?
The second? I think it's the second.
Yeah, the second time I took Steven out into East Texas, we went with this paranormal group in Tyler, Texas. We met up with them in Tyler, and we were going with them to go to a Civil War cemetery, and they had a bunch of slaves buried there, and so they were doing like these EVPs. And I was looking up before we went out there was a bunch of Bigfoot activity in that area. So I went with Steven and my mentor, Luke Gross, and I told him, I said, there's Bigfoot stuff out here also. So we ended up, after they did all their session, we did a couple of tree knocks, we did a couple of calls. We eventually had like something come up adjacent to us, like alongside this creek bed, and we hit our flashlights over there. And we saw like two sets of eyes. One was pretty high up the ground, probably like 8 foot. The other one was probably like 5-6 feet, right? And so these eyes shining whenever we were doing the flashlights. As soon as we caught them, like we go, look over there. We had rocks coming across the street at us, just throwing rocks at us. And
what did we do?
We turned and looked to toward them. And then whenever we turned the flashlights back to the creek bed, they were gone.
It was a diversion.
It was the diversion. He was, whatever was out there was trying to get our attention to look away, and then these guys are gone. So that's the big deal with it, is that, and I've heard stories like from like guys that are doing like telephone work, like out in like the boonies, and they crawl up a pole to go do some work on a telephone line. And this one dude told me that he got pelted with rocks. And whenever he looked down, he saw like a Bigfoot standing on the tree line, and he rushed to get down, got in his truck and took off. And this thing was like shadowing his truck. It was keeping up with him, and until it was gone. So
I don't know if I would have rushed.
Was it running?
Huh?
Was it running on its all four legs to try and keep up with the truck, or was it just running on two?
He told me it was on two. So I've heard stories of them running on 4s and 2s, but I don't know. I think it's like a different species. That's what I think. That's just my point of view on it. Yeah. So,
well, I heard another story on. I think it was the Sasquatch Chronicles. He was on Chris Jericho's podcast, and I have yet to be able to find that episode again.
Okay,
but they were talking about how like there was two brothers that brought some property, and all of a sudden they started having activity. They would have what they thought was Bigfoot, getting real close to the house and actually looking in the windows and staring at their daughters. Mm-hmm. They were getting creeped out. Mm-hmm. They did everything that they thought in their power to do. Nothing worked. They ended up calling basically I can't remember exactly what she was, but she was a real religious person. And she went with them, walked to the property, walked to the house, and basically prayed over the property. And after that, whatever was the Bigfoots, they would not cross the property line.
Wow.
They would just yell and throw rocks and stuff about them. And while all of this was going on, they would also see this lady walk the road, and she'd be in all white. Keep that in your mind.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So sooner or later, they finally started seeing her, but they would holler at her, and she'd never acknowledge them at all. And they finally got sick of it, and they just yelled again, and she finally turned around and gave the most evil, diabolic smile that they had ever seen and started laughing extremely creepy. And they called the lady back and said that the Bigfoot were actually there because of her.
Wow.
I just thought it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I heard that story, and it has just stuck with me this entire time.
I've talked to a lot of Native American friends of mine, and they always tell us all the time who, whenever they run into an entity like that, to not acknowledge it, to not invite it in, and to not whistle, right?
At night.
Yeah, don't whistle at night. And so for them to acknowledge it, I mean, I don't know, but I've always said this on my show that, you know, in theory that Bigfoots give off infrasound, and it's a theory. I mean, you know, it can't be proven. It's just conjecture, but infrasound is similar to EMF, and it's like they have the same characteristics, and they make you like nauseated and headaches. Like not everybody's like acts the same way whenever they're like induced with that, but wow, that's an interesting story. And the one with the girls, I did have a case like this similar in Paris, Texas. There was a lady, and she had these two little girls, and this Bigfoot was coming to the back of the house and looking through the windows. And I had to ask her this question. So people, if you get offended, I'm super sorry. But I asked the question if she was a heavy bleeder. And because like she burned her trash, and I told her not to do that anymore. I told her to whenever she went through her cycle, to put it in a Ziploc, to put it in the freezer. And whenever she was ready to burn it, and then take it out and go burn it. So these Bigfoots were attracted to her cycle for some reason, because she was a heavy bleeder. And I was just thinking, like, if these Bigfoots were attracted to these young girls, I was wondering if they're probably going through puberty or something like that. So, and then whenever they also do that, they also give off, like, you know, a lot of energy, like, you know, and it's like, it could be, you know, disguised as EMF as well. So I don't know. Man, I didn't think we were going to go this deep into Bigfoot stuff. So.
Well, that's why I was telling you, I know a little bit about a lot of different things, and Bigfoot, Mothman, Dogman, anything crypto has just always fascinated me. So
yeah, the Mothman was another one of those things where we did a whole segment on that.
Yeah,
that story is amazing. It really is.
Yeah,
you see a creature and you're outrunning it, and then it turns out to be days before that big disaster with that bridge. Yeah,
theory on that one was the government was putting something in the water, and so because if you think about that area, Point Pleasant, there, it's not too far from Quantico. It's not too far from Langley. It's not too far from DC. So
and it was the only town that had like less than 10,000 people.
Yeah,
and all the other towns were considered like I guess more suspicious if they were doing something like that.
Yeah,
and I thought that was creepy too. Like they picked that town. If you think about it, it's like less than 10,000 people.
And it was the same town that they also ran into Ingrid Cole. Would show up, and I found that super amazing. I was telling Sarah about that story, and I told her she should do a segment on that one. So
she never heard of him, right?
She never heard of him. Yeah.
She's heard of everything else, but that's interesting. That is interesting.
That's very interesting.
Like because Ingrid Cole, when you hear Ingrid Cole, you think of Mothman. When you think of Mothman, you think of Ingrid Cole.
Yeah, because I think he's in Ingrid Cole's like mentioned in like 3 books. I think Stephen Keels, Alan Greenspan, and there's someone else I can't remember. Listeners, if you know it, message us and let us know, because I don't recall. So
I need to read those books.
Yeah, I have 2 of them. So
yeah, bring it over.
Bring it over. But
bring it over.
Bigfoot Club thanks Terry Cagle with Porch Matters Podcast for coming on. This is going to be part 1. We're going to release part 2 pretty soon. But you can find Porch Matters Podcast on all platforms. He's also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Just look up Porch Matters Podcast, and we really thank him for coming on. Thank you.